You're watching Granada Breeze.
Hello and welcome to Psychic and Astrology Lifetime. I'm Becky Want and stay tuned for the next hour of magical and mystical goings-on from the other side. Coming up today, astrologer Maria is here to look at movements amongst the planets this week and tell us how the full moon on Wednesday has been affecting us, and what a week this has been. And what's in the hand? Well, palmist Stephen Howe will be telling us how you can determine someone's character, not just by the palm, but by the whole hand as well. And our very own clairaudient, yep, you know him, Derek Akora. He's here to speak to one lucky viewer live in the studio. So if you want to speak to Derek or Maria, just give us a call on 0845 303 4422. We know the lines get really busy, they really do, but please keep trying and we will do our very best to help you. So this week's full moon may have made you feel emotional. Here's Maria to explain. And here she is. Right, what a week.
Oh yes.
Not been the best of weeks,
Not
has
easy, but you know, it was all there in the planets. Because actually Saturday morning I went and filled my petrol up.
How on earth could you have foreseen that?
Because I knew we'd got a full moon coming up, so whatever is begun near a new moon and starts to get in motion coming up to a full moon comes to a head at a full moon. So when I heard
about the blockade,
and Pluto is all about oil, and you know we've been talking about Jupiter and Pluto in the last few weeks about how they're in opposition, and it's overinflating. Jupiter overdoes everything.
Yes.
Prices were going up, and I thought something's going to hit, because I knew that the full moon was going to form a challenging aspect to this Jupiter and Pluto.
So you've been smugly sitting there on your full tank of petrol. You could have come and collected me today. Well, I'm down to a quarter of a tank.
Well, I'm actually now down to 3/4, and I've got a long journey to make this weekend, so it's like I knew it was going to have to happen. But the interesting thing is, this aspect, be warned, is going to repeat itself again.
Really?
Yeah, it is going to.
Do we know when?
You know, do we tell Tony Blair when?
We're going to mention Tony Blair in just a minute.
But it is going
to
happen again. Okay, we're looking at, I would have thought it's going to occur around about the Sagittarius full moon, which I'm going to check all the aspects, and I'm going to try and come up with a chart and try and give you some warning about it, because the full moon in Sagittarius again will hit this Jupiter-Pluto aspect. And incidentally, that's around about 60 days, 70 days down the line.
They said, yes.
Yeah.
60 days, they want a resolution
they want to do something about it.
Right, we have to talk about Big Brother. It's the last week that I'm sure we'll talk about
Full moon hit the chart of Big Brother exactly as well this week, and it is coming to a head. Now, you know you're going to ask me, who's going to go? Of
course I am.
Who's going to go?
Who's going to go and who's going to stay, more to the point, really.
Right, well, let's decide first of all who I think
who's going to
first.
win, I should say.
Let's think who's going to go first. The first one I think is going to go is, unfortunately,
Darren.
I think it's Darren.
Yeah, I agree.
Bless him, I think he's lovely, I think he's got a lot going for him, but he's got a bad aspect to his moon tonight, which looks like out the door.
Fancy being away from your children, though, for 9 weeks.
Yeah, and he's a Cancerian, so he's a home guy. You know, he likes his home as well. You know, but he's got Venus in Gemini, so he's a bit of a flirt.
Oh, yeah, he is, isn't he?
You know, he can sparkle his eyes.
So he's going to be the first to go.
Yeah.
And then, well, who's going to win?
Right, now, okay, now we've got Craig and Anna left. Now, do you know Craig and Anna's birthdays are 2 days apart?
Oh, what does that mean?
It means that their sun is exactly at the same degree, more or less, both of them. Now, tonight at 10:45, when the last vote goes through, there is a fabulous aspect to both their suns. So I have been like this all morning, looking at these two charts. I've got to find the answer. About 5 minutes before we came on air, I suddenly felt inspired to...
Are you psychic as well?
No, I looked at an aspect between Mars and Neptune in Anna's chart, which I felt
have sorted it out.
was probably a little bit of disillusionment at around about 11 o'clock
So
tonight.
Craig's going to win the 70 grand, is he?
I'm going to go with Craig.
I completely agree
think Craig has got a really open chart. I think he's got everything going for it.
And you've not been wrong. You've not been wrong so
No,
far.
but it could be a first time, but I'm really going to sort of...
I hope it's not tonight, the first
no,
time
I
you're
know.
wrong, but anyway.
I know, but
Okay.
I would go with Craig.
I agree with you. I think you're absolutely right.
I think
now,
he seems a nice guy as well.
back to old Tony Blair. He is looking old, actually, isn't he, after this week? I tell you what a week for him.
Tough week.
I know, it
Tough
is.
week. But
Yeah.
you know, the mistake was the guys on the picket line should have rang me and consulted me, because if they had
should have nipped
known,
down.
well, if they had known he's a Toryien, Toryans put their feet on the ground, their feet in the mud, and they don't move. He would not budge.
No.
And he obviously can't be seen to be
No.
influenced in that manner. But you know, he's also Gemini rising. Now, Gemini rising, he's exactly hitting this Jupiter-Pluto aspect that's going on. So when the full moon came and hit his area of his career, wow, that was going to be a tough week. It was going to be the hardest week for anybody.
Really?
It's really, really
And they actually
tough.
said perhaps Tuesday was the worst day he's had since he's been in
Oh
office.
yeah, well, the dome collapsed, and you know, you name it, it all fell around. And it's one of those days that no matter how hard you try, everything's going to go wrong. If you throw 50 balls in the air, you're going to lose 60.
Doesn't he look exhausted?
He
though?
looks he's actually got
Absolutely.
Uranus squaring his sun. Now we're going to be talking about the outer limit planets afterwards, and Uranus is all about stress, the unexpected. Expect the unexpected.
Will
And I
things
don't-
improve for him?
Now, I actually looked at his solar return for next year, because there are rumblings and rumours that there could be another election early in the new year. And should he look, well, I was looking at after his birthday year next year, and if he chooses it to spend his birthday in London, I don't think our Tony's going to be in front of the public eye.
Really?
Simply because he's got his moon in the 12th house. Now, somebody with their moon in the 12th house is not in front of the public, they're behind closed doors.
Do you know, if we are still here when that actual date comes round, then we will bring that
He's
piece
got
of tape
a
back.
lot, he's got some big changes coming
if
up,
you are
serious, stressful changes.
Perhaps he
coming
can't
up.
cope with, like, young baby and everything.
Well,
any
I think there's an
longer.
awful lot going on in his life.
I'll say.
You know, and it's not, he is under stress. Stress at home, stress at work.
We've got very little time left, but we should just
Okay.
say happy birthday to Prince Harry,
Prince
shouldn't
Harry,
we? 16.
yes. Yeah, he's lovely, isn't
He
he?
is lovely, yeah.
He's a real sweetheart. He's got his sun in Virgo, his moon in Taurus. He is very practical. He's very down to earth. He is a down to earth boy. He's Capricorn rising. I think he is very much a Windsor when I look at him, and I look at his chart. He's got almost the identical chart to the chart of the Queen,
How's he?
which is quite interesting. And also, it's got to be said, over the next couple of years, there are some big changes.
It's interesting. He's a great horseman, isn't he? Like the Queen,
Yes.
of course. He's a great horsewoman.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, and he's
a
got
great
some big
sportsman.
changes coming up in the
Has
next
he?
couple of years,
Aw,
which we shall
okay.
keep track of.
Thank you. We'll see you
Okay.
later. Right, time to find out what's in store if you're Aries, a Taurus, or a Gemini.
Aries. Try to avoid burning the candle at both ends when Mars forms a challenging aspect to Saturn this week and demands that work takes priority. Taurus. Love and romance come into focus, insisting you remove any rose-colored glasses and see a relationship in its true light. Gemini. Doubts and misgivings about a major change fade away as powerful planetary activity gives you an encouraging push towards the future.
It's quite good this week for Gemini. Now, did you know that it's not just the palm of your hand that holds the key to the future? It's the shape of the whole hand as well. And palmist Stephen Howe is here to explain it a little bit more. So we look at the actual shape of the hand. Is that the first thing you look at?
First thing
as
we
a
do,
palmist?
we look at the backs of the hand,
Yes.
and from that we can see the different shapes.
How many different shapes
There
are
are 6 different shapes, but everyone's got a mixture of all the shapes. There's not many people who've got pure hand shapes, but basically the people we've got today, for instance, they've got more or less they fall into the categories of the shapes.
The pure hand shape. Okay, let's have a look at our first one.
Right, well this is...
A bit of a comedy moment here.
yes,
Hope you're splitting your
this,
sides at home.
If we can turn it round without breaking his wrist, these are what we call the spatulate hand.
There's nothing attached to it, you know, it's just a hand.
It's just a hand,
a
isn't
la
it?
the Addams family.
I won't put it too
So this is the
too much then.
spatula.
This is the spatulate hand, and if you look at the fingertips,
Yes.
they look like spatulas. You see,
Right,
and
okay.
they're more or less all the same. Now, the spatulate person who's got a spatulate hand, these are very restless people. They get very enthusiastic about things, but not for long. They get a lot done very quickly.
Okay.
And so this is a restless person.
If there is anybody on the end of that hand,
Yes.
can you just turn it full onto the camera? Not that you can
Yes.
see a camera.
And
Oh, well done, thank you.
can you see how the fingers are very open?
Yeah.
This goes all through the categories. People who've got those sort of things, very open-minded.
So
and
spatula's
this
kind
person
of
is.
flat on top.
It's sort of
basically. They look
flat
like, ooh,
like that.
steady. Right, oh,
There we
I
are.
see. Right, I've got
Spatulate.
it. Yeah,
You see?
spatulate. Okay.
So this is the restless person, ambitious but in short spouts.
Right, okay, all right.
Yes,
So Irshad,
okay.
reveal yourself now. Up your pop. There he is. How could you hear anything?
Yeah,
that Steve
could hear
was
it
saying?
all.
How accurate was that? Now be honest, you don't.
Yeah, it's completely 100% accurate.
Are you
Yes.
are you open-minded?
And he's
Very
got a sister
open-minded.
whose name begins with S who's just got married.
That's right.
Did you speak to each other beforehand?
A little bit.
Ah, you see, right. Okay, Irshad. All right then. Thank you very much
Okay.
indeed. Okay, let's just have a look at a picture that we've got of the pointed, which is also called the psychic hand. Now.